Hello, YouTube. How are you doing? We need to watch this video about Nintendo finally suing Palworld. I have a lot of feelings about this, and I'll tell you, as a bit of backstory, as a bit of my lore, I used to be a full-time Pokemon streamer, and I also played Palworld. I really enjoyed that game, and I have a lot of thoughts on this discourse and this discussion, and I feel a lot of things. So if you notice that maybe I'm getting a little bit heated or I have a lot to yap about, that's why. But I hope you enjoy. Let's go ahead and get into it. And if you'd ever like to watch these film live, I stream live on Twitch at around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time daily, except for Sundays at twitch.tv/Hex_Juice. And on Sundays, we usually watch movies in my Discord, which is a ton of fun. So let's go ahead and get into Nintendo finally suing Palworld. Subscribe!
Guys and gals, me Mudahar, and I bet you knew this video was coming. So yesterday I came home and, it was a good day until I came and read that Palworld was getting sued by good old Nintendo, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Now, to give an idea about what's going on, if you know about this game named Palworld, you probably have heard about it. January of this year was when this game dropped and basically became like a mature response to Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a huge success on Game Pass. Tons of people played it. I played it with my friends, actually made videos on it, and it became a pretty awesome game that everyone liked. And
those are some of the few videos that I still have up on my channel from before my little gotcha blow up. I think I have 2 Palworld videos and like 3 or 4 Elden Ring videos, and then it's like pure gotcha until the last month. But I really enjoyed this game. I like Pokemon. Obviously, I was a Pokemon streamer, and I like the whole like Monster Hunter concept. I love a little guy. I love the little guys. Like Chillet, I'm obsessed with. And the controversy around Palworld was so onerous and annoying. I ended up banning the word Pokemon from my Twitter feed at the time because I quite literally could not take the bitching and complaining about Pokemon anymore. And I need you guys to understand, like, I was a Pokemon streamer for about a year, and then I quit Pokemon when I realized that it was not very good and was not worth continuing to do. And there was like a 6-month period between, like 6-ish month period between me quitting Pokemon and Palworld coming out. And I lost a ton of my audience, obviously, because that's what happens when you stop playing the game. I cannot tell you how many of my Pokemon community members came back when I was playing Palworld to tell me what an awful human being I was for supporting the game that is stealing from Pokemon and all this stuff. Like, it was like so bad. I was a really small streamer at the time, and so many people came back after like half a year of just like straight up not watching me because no Pokemon don't care to be like, what is your take about this game stealing from Pokemon because you're playing it and you used to be a Pokemon streamer, which means you're a bad person. And it was like, dude, it was crazy. So continuing.
There was some controversy around it. People looked at the company, some of the stuff being said, but there was one assumption that maybe Nintendo was gonna sue them.
Yeah.
And you know what? Months had passed. January became February. February became March. Well, the story ends at September 19, 2024.
Yes.
Filing lawsuit.
Which honestly, it's kind of insane how long that took to me. Because I kind of assumed if there was a lawsuit to be had, or at least an easily defensible lawsuit to be had, I kind of assumed they probably would have done it during the trailer, which I had always held like, I don't think they're ever going to sue Palworld because they would have already just rubbed the trailers and stuff. In my tinfoil hat sort of conspiracy sort of way, I do feel like the reason it took so long is because they wanted to find a reason to sue them. It's just like, I'm actually really shocked that it took this long, and also that they ended up doing it this long afterward anyway.
For infringement of patent rights against Pocket Pair Incorporated.
Not copyright, patent rights, which is different. Because I already see people going on and on, like, oh, it's because they copied the design. Nope, that's not what patent rights are.
Now, I want to say that this is patent, rights, not copyrights, okay? Copyrights are different. Nobody is, arguing that there was some copyrights or IPs being stolen. Patents are a lot different.
Right.
So Nintendo, all right, of Japan, together with the Pokemon Company, okay, all right, one and the same, filed a patent infringement lawsuit in the Tokyo District Court against Pocket Pair Incorporated.
Right.
On September.
And to be clear, I have also seen misinformation spread about this. They are both Japan-based corporations. I saw some people saying that Pocket Pair is American. It is not. I don't even know why you would think that. They are both based in Japan. Obviously, Nintendo is, but Pocket Pair is as well. But yeah, that also additionally, that means that all of the patent law, all of the copyright law, all of that stuff is totally different because Japan's copyright law is somewhat non-existent. They don't really have like fair use. So it's pretty easy to sue for that kind of stuff. And I guess that was also part of why I never thought that they would end up actually suing, because it would have been easy enough to sue. They probably would have done it for that already. So again, patent rights is probably going to be for gameplay mechanics or something like that.
2024. The lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the ground that Palworld, a game developed and released by the defendant, infringes multiple patent rights. So what Nintendo said is they'll continue to take necessary actions against any infringement of its intellectual property rights, including the Nintendo brand itself, to protect the intellectual properties it has worked hard to establish over the years. Now, look, before we get into like blind defense and fanboyism, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of the Nintendo, knob polishers that might be like, well,
the knob polishers, dick riders, bootlickers, if you will. Corporate bootlickers would be the word I would personally like to use. I'm sure they'll be in here. They were in here for my PlayStation video as well, which was so funny to me.
Well, it's Nintendo's right to defend themselves. You know, it's totally a Nintendo thing to just out of nowhere sue a company months after. And of course, there was a reasoning to that too. Obviously, Nintendo had to do some careful investigation on this as well. Right. So according to Nintendo Life, all right, according to a Nintendo spokesperson, they're like, we filed a lawsuit at this timing after careful investigation of the content that is the subject of this lawsuit. We will refrain from commenting on topics that relate to the content of the lawsuit.
To my knowledge, Pocket Pair has also come out and said that they don't really know what the lawsuit is for either. I think they tweeted that. Yeah, they're saying that they don't know what it is. Basically, a lawsuit was filed against our company for patent infringement. At this moment, we are unaware of the specific patents we are accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details. So they're also like, we don't know, which it seems like they might need to, hypothetically speaking, but we'll continue on. It is very classic Nintendo of them, though. Nintendo, if you somehow don't already know this, I think they're pretty well known for being highly litigious. They love to do a bit of lawsuits. They love to do a bit of suing. They love to do a bit of people over, even content creators. And so this is not insane behavior from them. This is not new.
So obviously it's supposed to be very hush-hush. And so I started to look into like Japan's like laws around patents and everything too. And when I looked at patent prosecution, look, are all types of subject matter patentable? So apparently, according to Japanese law, if the claimed inventions lack industrial applicability, the invention is not patentable. Okay. Inventions of methods for performing surgery on humans, providing therapy to humans, or diagnosing humans lack industrial applicability. And then it's like, is there a duty to the patent office to disclose prejudicial prior disclosures or documents? No, there is not. So again, looking through this kind of information, the way that patents are treated, unfortunately, all right, Nintendo is arguing that there was some mechanic or something in Palworld that is infringing on their established patents, and that's pretty much the end of that.
So essentially, most likely, it is some form of gameplay mechanic, which, because we don't know exactly what it is they're suing for, it's kind of hard to speak on. But I'm going to say it's gonna be interesting seeing how they argue what mechanic was taken from them, you know, because it's like the ball, but there are other, like, I don't know if that's really suable, because there are other forms of like throwing a ball at a monster and capturing it, and it was changed, it was transformed. Because if they could do it on copyright infringement, they would have already done that. It is very easy for them to sue another Japanese company for copyright infringement. Super simple. Retaliatory would be the word that I'm like, it's malicious. It's feeling retaliatory. It's giving our next Pokemon game, when you put it up next to Palworld, is gonna look really, really bad and lazy. Because most likely, it's gonna be kind of bad and lazy. And so we want to punish Palworld and try and get as and try to ruin its reputation because Palworld makes our games look bad because they are lazy garbage slop and have been for decades. So that's what it's giving. It's giving retaliatory. It's giving we're mad. And I also it could be that they waited more time to argue for more money. It's just like a nothing lawsuit because they're not suing for copyright. They're suing for some technicality that they've cooked up.
Now, this is where the whole situation kind of goes radio silent. There's not much you can get out. Looking through Japanese, courts, I don't think you can pull these, documents at all publicly. And I don't expect to either. If neither party is going to comment, it's probably going to be pretty hush-hush. And especially that this is two companies going at each other, one significantly larger than the other. You can expect that this will probably take a fair bit of time.
I think after 34 Pokemon games across 9 generations, you're allowed to be lazy. I think as a multi-billion-dollar corporation, you never get to be lazy because you're asking for more money. And it's also that it's not like they've been innovating all 34 of those games. The games are essentially the same as when released with minor, very minor modernizations. They're also making those games more expensive for the same content they've been giving for forever. I'm sorry. I don't give a about well, they've worked really hard up until now. Yeah. And they need to continue working hard. They're a corporation asking for money.
Time going through the court system before any actual information of value comes out. So again, based on what Pocket Pair had said regarding the lawsuit, yesterday a lawsuit was filed at our company for patent infringement. We have received notice of this lawsuit and will begin the appropriate legal proceedings and investigations into the claims of patent infringement. At this moment, we are unaware of these specific patents we are accused of infringing upon and have not been notified of such details.
Okay, so yeah, he did go over it. Apologies for the repetition, but I feel like it would be kind of important to let them know what they done did.
So even Pocket Pair has no idea what they did wrong. They just know that they're being sued. So Pocket Pair is a small indie company based in Tokyo. And it's always sad when you're hosted in the same country as the larger country, as whoever's hitting you. Our goal is...
oh my God, you know what it's giving? It's giving the same energy as your partner has been in a moody, a bad mood all day. They're giving you the silent treatment. They're being very F you all day long. And you go well, okay, well, honey, why are you upset with me? What's going on? Can we talk about it? You should know what you did wrong. I shouldn't have to tell you what you did wrong for you to know because you should know that you did something wrong. And then it's, all right, well, I'll just suffer with your mood, I guess. That's fine. Cool. All right.
Company has always been to create fun games. We will continue to pursue this goal because we know that our games bring joys to millions of gamers around the world. Palworld was a surprise success, both for gamers and for us. So yeah, they're a pretty, good team. They said it's unfortunate that we will be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to this lawsuit. However, we will do our utmost to our fans and to ensure that indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas.
I think what it can also be perceived as, a possible perception, is that Pokemon is trying to make an example out of Palworld. We'll have to see how it goes. And a lot of this, unfortunately, probably won't get a ton of information about a lot of it. I think that Pokemon is threatened by Palworld and should be threatened by Palworld. Palworld opens up a door of opportunity for developers who've wanted to possibly make a monster collecting, monster taming game. And then they've seen the success of Palworld and go, hey, maybe we can do that. And Nintendo wants to basically hang Palworld in the streets and go, no, you can't! And don't try it, possibly. Most of why Pokemon has not needed to innovate for decades is because they've had no legitimate competition demonstrating that they can make a good monster tamer game that is successful. And so they've just never really had to do anything, and they basically have a money printing machine of fanboys who will defend the games and defend Nintendo and defend Pokemon to their last breaths. They will quite literally tweet 60 times a day defending their corporation. But now there is a door opened of opportunity for lots of new developers to try similar things. So they're trying to be yeah, don't try this. Well, you. Because they should be threatened. Because, I mean, as somebody, again, I played a lot of Pokemon. I have a degree in Pokemon at this point, and I at least have a small certification. Those games have not done for a very long time. that is to the level of other AAA games at this point in 2024. And so they should be scared. And I think it's a really interesting choice to wait so long and also do this like kind of nitpicky seeming, what's it called? Patent infringement.
And from what I understand, these guys are pretty awesome. They literally didn't even go free to play. I was reading like about a couple of weeks ago that they were still going to maintain that their game was going to remain this premium purchase instead of turning themselves into this free to play microtransactionable hell. Look, at the end of the day, all right, you can see that they're doing the best they can to treat the community that they've built right. And it does suck to see them actually having to take time away and siphon resources just to fight a lawsuit that I don't really think is done in the best of intentions.
Right.
So clearly Nintendo finds that there's something wrong and people are speculating what it is. So one of the speculations is, clearly Nintendo got pretty mad at the monster hunting dynamic of it. And if that's the patent they're going for, like capturing monsters and using them to battle, well, that is a losing lawsuit right there because monster hunting is not entirely new whatsoever.
Pokemon also didn't invent it. I know he's already going to say it, but I want to say that I know that Pokemon did not invent it. They did not invent the monster hunting genre.
In fact, if we're going to be completely honest, plenty of games have taken a spin on that. Games like Metal Gear Solid, with Peace Walker and Phantom Pain, have literally added a Pokemon-like system where you go out into the wilds, Afghanistan, or Africa, and you stick Fulton recovery systems onto the asses of soldiers, launch them to the stratosphere, and give them a 9-to-5 job as a PMC operator at Diamond Dogs, okay? All right, so this isn't new whatsoever. Hell, if we want to go back to the origin points, games like the Shin Megami Tensei or the Megami Tensei series have allowed you to recruit monsters and basically fuse them, them together, and then turn them into monstrosities that will fight alongside you to the credit screen of the game. You played Persona? Yeah, the whole mask system isn't so much different than the Pokeball system.
He gets so when he's like really like, I was gonna say his eyes when he's like really getting into something, it's so intense. Dragon Quest was Pokemon before Pokemon, and it's old as and nobody knows it anymore. And so like, not only if they're trying to go for monster hunting, not only is it like an impossible thing to try to claim because it's like, it's even in like Wuthering Waves, there's a Pokemon sort of system. However, realistically, Pokemon didn't even come up with that concept. It existed before them.
Now, if the trademark is taking a ball and throwing it at the face of a monster in order to capture it, if that's the patent that, Nintendo wants to hit, then my only question is why it took them 9 months to launch this lawsuit and then...
Well, they also saw that they did that, like, realistically, okay, if it is that was in the trailers, like, a year or more before, months before it even released. It had that system, and it was very clearly similar to the Pokemon system.
Basically ensure that all it seems like with this lawsuit, all it seems like with stuff like this is starving another company out financially or harming them, especially when, from what I understood, Palworld being a surprise success was basically a game that really brought Pocket Pair back onto the pocketbook, so to speak. So Nintendo hitting them in this regard just makes no sense whatsoever. But this also leads to another discussion regarding patents and, patenting actual game ideas. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, this is a patent for a video game known as Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War. So this patent, US 109-261-79B2, talks about Nemesis characters, forts, social vendettas, and followers in computer games. And of course, the abstract for it is a method for managing non-player characters, and power centers in a computer game are based on character hierarchies and individualized correspondence between each character's trait and ranks and events that involve other non-player characters or objects. Effectively, it's a game where there is a society that you can manipulate and a society that constantly is manipulating itself without any of your interaction. So if you ever played...
Is this an ad? What are we I'm sorry. I lost the plot. I won't be real. Why are we talking about this? I love the system. Hate that the owners just sit on the patent for it. Oh, so we're talking about like patents that people are like keeping a hold of just so other people can't have the like concept. Okay. But I had not connected dots. I was like, okay, so he's just reading patents now. Okay. Okay, got it. Sorry.
The Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor systems, at some point in the game, you unlock the ability to brand, you unlock the ability to control, underlings and have them inserted into entire like social groups where there are captains, soldiers, certain hierarchies, and you're basically getting these guys to, run these games, these internal politics to either kill, usurp power, or, eventually take over an entire organization.
That's
just so
cool.
they can eventually do your bidding. Okay, it's called the Nemesis
His name is Ugly Face. My little kid goes hee, like he said duty. His name Ugly Face. Hee. Sorry.
system, and it was one of the best systems in those video games, and it made them so popular. But if you look at a patent like this, it was introduced in 2016, and its adjusted expiration is 2036, meaning this gameplay system, from my understanding and my understanding of the law, you can't bring this system over to other video games, where it would actually be pretty awesome. Look, a lot of the gaming industry...
That's so yucky. That sounds so cool, first of all. Like, that sounds super, super awesome. But like, I don't think that there's anything in Pokemon that is even similarly like, and I guess maybe this is due to my like not understanding specifically like Japanese law and not understanding the law in general. But the thing is like, does Pokemon even have any mechanics or systems that are in Palworld or in general that are detailed enough to be even considered a patent in that way? Because that's kind of my question, is like, that's a very intricate, detailed system that they have created and patented, and gatekeeping it is dog. But like, I understand why it can be patented, even if the way that they're using the patent sucks, right? I don't know, like, what is the system in Pokemon that would be in Palworld that would even be necessarily specific and special enough to patent at all and to sue over? Because the only thing I can think of that is so similar to Pokemon that it would be like possibly patented is the Pokeball, the stuff. I just don't feel like that was even like, why are they only suing about that now? That was gonna be in the game from the start. Like, I just feel like that's so petty if it's true.
History is built off of iterating off of each other, okay? When Call of Duty was at its peak in 2009, every game started copying Call of Duty. And it's not because it was just popular, it's because it was fun. It's because it was a system that, captured millions of people, and tons of other games started to capture that magic. So a lot of games end up copying off each other. Pokemon was a very popular video game, but it wasn't the only monster hunting video game out there. Plenty of titles have come before and after that have taken that concept and have built upon it.
Right.
So Nintendo going out of their way to hit against Palworld, yes, there obviously are some level of similarities between the two games. I'm not going to pretend that there isn't or dig my head in the sand. But Nintendo going after 9 months to finally build this weird patent case and go after a, company like this is clearly a sign of, in my opinion, more malicious legal acting than there actually being a real patent case to really go after. But
I agree completely, which is not a very good bit of reaction commentary. But like, that's the thing about it, right? Is why now? Why did it take so long? Why does it seem like trying to do some technicality mumbo jumbo? And also additionally, like, what even can Pokemon sue for there? Then what are they suing? Literally not even Pocket Pair knows. Not even Pocket Pair knows what patent they've apparently infringed upon. They've already put out a statement saying, we don't know what we're being sued for.
Hey, ultimately, at the end of the day, look, Pocket Pair is a small company as compared to Nintendo. Nintendo is one of the largest, if not, I think, the largest company in all of Japan. So they've got money to burn legally, okay? And they can bring up whatever case they want in Tokyo courts. And they could very, very easily snuff out the financials of the smaller company.
Which is a disgusting practice to utilize if that is the case, and this is not a particularly valid lawsuit.
And that's where I think ultimately the story is really headed to go to. I don't know if they have a case, but this is very much an on-brand Nintendo thing to do. At the end of the day, all I really hope is Palworld ends up winning. I always root for the underdog, especially in situations like this. I don't think that Palworld is doing anything that is necessarily encroaching on the patents that Nintendo has brought up, if the closest patent that I could even think of, and again, this is pure speculation, is maybe the ideas of throwing Pokeballs at monsters and watching them be captured, 3 shakes and suddenly they're yours. Maybe that is the case, okay? Maybe it could be something entirely different. Hell, maybe it could be the idea of stuffing these things in a digital box, a digital PC. Maybe that's the patent.
Because regardless, even if those things are the things that they're trying to sue for, the fact that those are even patented is insane. Like, how are those specific and detailed enough concepts to be like patented at all? So like, I genuinely think that it is probably something very, very nitpicky and very, very weird that we're probably not going to be able to guess. I just don't think that the things that we see instantly are patentable and or / are like worth suing over. It's gonna be like one dude who's like ranting and raving in a Reddit thread. He's gonna be in a subreddit 100% right, and everyone's gonna be like, dude, you're crazy, shut up. But he's gonna be the one guy who knows it.
I don't necessarily know, but whatever it has to be is something so insignificant and tiny and very specific to the Pokemon franchise that it took them 9 months to dig it out of their ass and suddenly throw in a court and aim for injunction. That's pretty much what it comes down to. But is it a good look for Nintendo? No. But at the end of the day, is it going to affect, a Nintendo sale? Probably not. There's still going to be people buying Pokemon games and everything out there. But yeah, it's a sad thing to see. And generally, look, the best is when the gaming industry iterates and learns from each other, not when they're busy litigating each other to prevent gameplay features from showing up in other games.
You don't need to sue to prevent competition if you have a product you are confident in, and that is good. It is not necessary to be a bully in the industry if your product is good and will stand the test of time. And realistically, the thing about it is that has always stricken me as odd about Nintendo is like, you really don't have to do all this lawsuit, because the reality is, as somebody who's been in Pokemon and who was in the trenches when this was going on with Palworld, there are people who literally will stake their lives on their love for Nintendo, on their love for the Pokemon franchise. And so there's really no need to be so litigious to try to do stuff like this, because this is not the first time. They already have like an insane amount of brand loyalty because people have like an intense, painful, throbbing nostalgia boner for Pokemon and what it meant to them when they were kids. And that's even with the fact that they've not legitimately innovated much since the games first came out. The games are essentially the same. They've added a little bit of open world here and there. They've done a couple of new things to bring it more into the modern era. It's still out of date. Let's be for real. Scarlet and Violet was out of date when it came out. And so like, why you gotta be like this? Pokemon could hand you a pile of shit. Most Pokemon people would still just eat it right out of their hand. They wouldn't even ask for a plate. They would eat the out of their hand directly and lick the hand to get every bit of out of it.
That is just selfish and sad. Anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.
And so I already know there will be people in the comments coming to, defend their corpa. If your corporation was confident in the product that it created, it would not need to make up a patent lawsuit in order to sue others to try to essentially bully the whole industry using Palworld as the example. Because that's essentially what will happen is if this successfully over Palworld enough, it will prevent other developers from possibly making games in a similar genre and additionally competing with Nintendo, and that is very much on purpose. So that is the situation around Nintendo suing Palworld. I feel very passionately about this one because I have a lot of personal stake in that kind of stuff. But thank you for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Drink water, love yourself. Come join us on Twitch if you ever have time at twitch.tv/hex_juice. And I will see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.